asteroid belt and survive Jupiter's immense radiation environment. When it came to space missions such as this one, building two identical spacecraft was normally a good idea, as the possibility that one might fail seemed high. After all, no spacecraft had ever ventured through the asteroid belt, which is a donut-shaped region just beyond Mars that contains asteroids ranging in size from dust particles to rock chunks as big as Alaska. Although there was no significant chance of hitting anything large, hitting a few hundred grains of asteroid would be just as bad. As originally conceived, Pioneer 11 was intended as a backup to Pioneer 10. However, by the time the second spacecraft launched, the first had already safely passed through the asteroid belt, becoming the first to do so, and was well on its way to its encounter with Jupiter. Pioneer 10 was the first spacecraft to visit Jupiter, successfully completing its observations while plunging deep into the mighty gas giant's powerful radiation belts. And as it turns out, they were every bit as strong as expected. After a 92-minute round trip, electronic systems functioned erratically, resulting in some major data losses. But Pioneer 10 did manage to emerge intact, although battered and singed. During its flyby of Jupiter, Pioneer 10 obtained the first close-up images of the planet, charted its intense radiation belts, located the planet's magnetic field, and discovered that Jupiter is predominantly a liquid planet. As the primary mission had been a success, mission planners placed its sister craft, Pioneer 11, on a different trajectory, one that would take advantage of Jupiter's massive gravitational field, slingshotting it back across the solar system so that it could also encounter Saturn. In December 1974, while using the gas giant for a gravity assist, Pioneer 11 captured the most detailed images of the Great Red Spot ever seen, as these dramatic images reveal. At its closest point to Jupiter, Pioneer 11 was travelling faster than any human-made object at the time, more than 106,000 miles per hour, which is more than 171,000 kilometers per hour. Although on a different path, in the end, Pioneer 11's experience at Jupiter was much like Pioneer 10's, with erratic electronic behaviour but no permanent damage. And so while still in communication with Earth, the hardy spacecraft was on its way to the ringed world, Saturn. But it certainly wasn't out of the woods yet. Since it launched, Pioneer 11 endured a number of malfunctions, including the momentary failure of one of its power supplies, called the RTG boom, a problem with an attitude control thruster which controls the orientation of the spacecraft, and a partial failure of the asteroid dust detector, which analysed dust particles. But regardless of these malfunctions, it had successfully traversed the asteroid belt and survived the bombardment of Jupiter's immense radiation. Then, in late July 1979, nearly 5 years later, Pioneer 11 began its first observations of Saturn. But by that time, the famous Voyager 1 and Voyager 2 had already been launched, had completed their flybys of Jupiter, and were on their way to Saturn as well, taking advantage of a rare planetary alignment of the outer planets that happens once every 175 years, reducing their journey time between planets. Based on this, NASA decided to place Pioneer 11 on a path that would provide maximum support for Voyager 2, which would eventually use Saturn for a gravity assist so that it could later visit Uranus and Neptune, completing the Voyager Grand Tour of the solar system. However, although this planned trajectory seemed like the safest and most worthwhile in aiding Voyager 2, it almost caused an unexpected end to Pioneer 11's already perilous journey, as the spacecraft nearly collided with an unknown object. Without warning, on September 1st,